This video is a vlog of several days in the last week, and it's been a very rough week. We've had super hot, windy weather, major car problems, and the park fire, which as of today, July 31st, 2024, it's 18% contained, but still burning strong. First though, let's go back to the day before the fire started and a lovely, peaceful sunrise here on my property. Hi, I'm Kim, and this is Olive City Oasis in far northern California. Now, later that same morning, I was out in my garden. It was a beautiful sunny day, early in the morning, before it got hot. And I had a few fun things I just had to share with you. So this plant is a mystery. Literally, my dad gave me 2 big black seeds back in the spring. And he said, plant these. These are the most interesting flowers. They're vibrant. Never seen them before. And I want you to plant them and grow them and tell me what they are. Which is kind of funny because, he's the landscaper. He's the nursery guy. And he didn't know what these are. Of course, he's not really a flower person. But still, I don't know what these are. I have 2 of them in 2 very different places, and I still can't figure out if they like the sun or the shade or something in between. Their leaves have not looked that healthy. This one looked horrible to begin with. It now looks better than the other one, which I'll show you in a second. But they took forever to bloom. However, now I do think I know what they are. I think they're a kind of weed. I think that one of them grew last year, or maybe it was the year before, and I was astounded by it. It grew out of a crack in my sidewalk on my back patio, and I posted pictures of it on my community tab, I think, and asked people, what is this? And nobody knew. Now this 2-tone variation in color, that's quite different than the weed that grew here. It was just vibrant yellow. But still, I do think it's the same flower. Let's go take a look at the other one that is not doing as well as this one. So here it is. You can see it's not looking very happy. It's got 1 flower in bloom, and it has bloomed sporadically, all yellow flowers like this. But you can see the leaves curled up. I'm pretty sure this is a water thing, but I've tried it with more water. I've tried it with less water. I've moved it more into the sun. I've moved it more into the shade. It definitely did not like full sun. Here it's behind the lemon verbena, and it's doing all right, but it is not happy. The pepper plant I put in here is doing all right, producing lots of peppers, even though it was very tiny when I first put it in. So I don't know, but let me show you what the plant looked like back when it grew as a weed. Okay, once I looked at these weed photos again, I realized my mystery flower and the weed are not the same. Quite different, in fact. So I've tried identifying the plant through my Plant Snap app, but it doesn't really help me much at all. It gives me either a mallow plant, a firecracker flower, or a tobacco plant. I don't know. I really don't know. It is flummoxing me. Does anyone out there know what this plant, this flower, could be? Because currently this is a big mystery, and I want to solve the mystery. I want to know what this plant is. Then I could tell my dad and sound like, I know something. Sound like I'm smart. Obviously, the cucumbers are still going full speed ahead. They've covered this trellis, and this is just one plant's growth here. I have some other plants started underneath the trellis, but since they're being shaded out by this first plant, they're not really doing much, they're like 4 or 5 inches tall. Now, when this one starts to die off, they can take over the trellis, so that's fine. But I haven't harvested any cucumbers from here for about a week, and you'd think there'd be more, right? And I'm betting there are. It's just they're not visible. So I'm gonna go in there now. You can come with me, see what we find. Anything back in here besides the bees I hear? Uh-oh, I see something. Yep, there's something. Okay, let's get that one out. Now, you don't want to ever pull cucumbers off the vine because you'll most likely damage the plant. So get some clean pruners and snip off the plant. Yeah, that was a clean snip, but it's still stuck. Why is that? I think it's going through the wire trellis. Let's see. Oh, I got it. Ah. Wow, that's a massive Armenian cucumber. Look at the diameter of that. Oh my gosh, it's like probably 5 or 6 inches across. I sense a bunch of pickles coming up later today. Now, the very next day, Wednesday, July 24th, the park fire started about 20 miles southeast of me in the middle, late afternoon. And we know now how it started. Well, they're 99% sure. Man was arrested because he was witnessed by several people pushing a burning car into a ravine, and that's what started it all. In just 72 hours, the park fire went from 0 acres burned to over 300,000 acres burned. Now, exactly 1 week later, the park fire has burned over 390,000 acres. As of last night, July 30th, it was ranked the 5th largest wildfire in California history, and it's bound to top that. It looks like by this weekend it will move up into the number 4 position, and by next week probably number 3. Hopefully that will be the end of its climb up the ranks. By that evening, it had burned its way north and was directly east of us, about 6 miles away. This is what it looked like from our front porch. The fire continued to blaze northwards, demolishing wilderness and forest areas and threatening small towns and the western side of Lassen National Park. Thankfully, as of today, no one's been killed by the park fire. The next day, I decided to visit an old favorite spot of mine, about an hour north of me along the Sacramento River. Now, the Sacramento River runs through all the cities and towns that lie in the Central Valley of Northern California, including the little town I live just outside of. But the river's much stronger and more powerful north of here. One of the reasons I love this spot is the high railroad trestle bridge that crosses over the river. And even though the banks of the river were quite a bit overgrown and mostly inaccessible since the last time I visited, I was fortunate in my timing to catch a train crossing the trestle bridge. So I caught it on film for you to watch too. There's just something fascinating about watching a train cross a bridge. I even spotted some geese floating gracefully in the river. And I almost called them a flock of geese, but then I thought, no, isn't it a gaggle? That's what I've heard. But I looked it up to be sure, and no. Gaggle of geese refers to geese only when they're on the ground. And then when they're in the air, they're referred to as a skein or a wedge or a team of geese. But in the water, my favorite term of all, they're called a plump of geese. A plump. Well, that just got me thinking, what are some of the other odd terms for groups of animals? And here are some that I discovered with just a little research. I thought it might entertain you as much as it did me. How about a skulk of foxes, or a tower of giraffes, Or how about a bloat of hippos? Better yet, a parliament of owls? A confusion of wildebeests? A destruction of wild feral cats? A dazzle of zebras? And probably my favorite of all, a conspiracy of lemurs. Now, the article I read was from the BBC and it was just a few years old, and I will link it in the description below for those of you who want to check it out. It was quite amusing and very informative. A few days ago, the smoke from the fire just moved in here, and as you can see, it's just made it all overcast, hard to breathe, and just sad and depressing. Then, at the same time, my radiator blew up in my truck. I just thought I need a break. We all need a break. We need a change of pace, a change of scenery. And so yesterday, 4 of my adult kids and I spent the day at Six Flags Discovery Kingdom, which is about 2.5 hours southwest of here. And we enjoyed the sunshine and all the animals there. The kids loved riding all the rides. I only rode one ride, but it was super exciting and refreshing. And then the surprise element at the end of the day was just the perfect finish. Butterflies, lots and lots of butterflies. There was even a koi pond and a little waterfall. So come join me on my little getaway. Having a blast. Got soaking wet though on that ride. Thanks for joining me for the vlog today. I hope you enjoyed most of the elements of it. Of course, the park fire, serious and very, very life-changing for so many people, and it's so utterly devastating to lose so much wilderness and forest to the fire. Wildfire has been such a terrible problem here over the last decade in Northern California. And it's one of the main reasons that I am almost definitely moving in about 2 years. But even during horribly difficult times like this, we can be there for others who need us, help as much as we can, and try to keep our minds in a positive state as much as possible. And that's what nature and family togetherness has done for me this week. I like to say that we create our own lives by how we live them. And I mean that in a big picture, large scale kind of way, but also on a daily, weekly basis. How we deal with the things that come our way in our own personal lives and in our community. So now I'm sending you all my warmest wishes. Stay safe, live in the moment, and well, I hope I see you again very soon.